Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, it's
Okay,
visible.
good.
We can go ahead.
Yeah, well, great. Thanks a lot again, Shashwat, for having me, and everybody who's listening in. Thanks for giving us your valuable time on a Friday evening. My name is Mayank Goyal, and I'm the founder of Hop Financial Solutions. We are a cross-border, full-stack neo-banking platform which provides Indians the ability to send, spend, and collect seamlessly and effortlessly globally. Now, I can imagine these are a lot of big jargons for you to take in. So I will try to break it down in a simpler language. What we're trying to do at MoneyHop is provide a platform which makes money movement from India to the world in various capacities seamless and effortless, right? Now, if we just take a moment to understand and absorb what are the venues or what are the channels for which the money movement happens, we broadly categorize that into three big umbrellas. We call it send, spend, and collect. Now, by the very nature of the word send, you're transferring the money from one Indian bank account to another foreign bank account, and the purposes are such a foreign education fees payment. We have maintenance, which is when you travel abroad as a student, your parents might send you money for your living expenses. That could be deposited in a foreign bank account or investment in foreign equities. We have about $18 billion that gets moved for these purposes, and is primarily done through wire transfer, which is an account-to-account transfer. And there are local agents who facilitate that. There are 81 banks and 82 banks which also do that. Now, the different category around which this happens is spend, which is either a corporate travel or a leisure travel or an education travel. So when you're traveling abroad, you exchange the currency from INR to pound to euro to GBP, and then you take it either as a cash or a debit card or a Forex card, and you use these mechanisms to spend for your travel abroad. This market is about $12 billion, quite decent numbers, and there are banks who provide these Forex cards. There are several grey market providers who give you cash. There are also airport kiosks where you can pick up some currencies. And the last category is about 50 million Indian MSMEs who export their goods and services. So, for example, let's say you're a UK resident, want to buy Ayurvedic products from Kerala, right? This Indian seller needs to collect money from these foreign buyer, which is done through an inward remittance. And there are several people who kind of provide these services as well. So broadly speaking, these are the three corridors for which the money movement happens from India outbound. And we find several issues and several problems pertaining to each and every of these channels, which I will be addressing in due course, and the solutions we have kind of found around that. But before we get started with that, I just wanted to kind of take a moment and run you through my own personal journey, which has been very similar to what you guys must be going through. There's a level of excitement, there's a level of nervousness, there's a hope of opportunity, which all of you guys must be experiencing, which is very thrilling. I went through the same process when I traveled abroad, and I can totally relate to those feelings, right? So so just to give you a little bit about background of myself, I come from a small town up north called Dehradun. I did my bachelor's from here in Bangalore, from PESIT. I did my telecom engineering. And towards the end of that engineering period, I wasn't really sure what to do. I was obviously was getting a few decent IT jobs, but having spoken to my mentors and my well-wishers, I found out that was not an area where I wanted to pursue my career. And after a deep brainstorming session, found out that finance was a deep area of interest for me. So at the very last moment, I started in probably the 7th semester. Even after the 7th semester, I started scratching surfaces to trying to find out which colleges could I get admission into, if the applications were still open, and so on and so forth. And was fortunate enough to land a seat as a master's in financial engineering at Imperial College London. It was a wonderful experience being there, interacting with people of different countries, getting educated in finance by top class professors, building friends for life, enjoying that culture, and so on and so forth. And I did my CFA after that, and got landed up a job as an investment banker at Merrill Lynch. I was a structured derivative trader there and a quantitative portfolio manager, handling about $1 billion of asset for various hedge funds and pension funds. So this was primarily the stock market investing side of things. I did that for 7-8 years, and then I moved to Jefferies, which is a New York-based boutique investment bank, where I did low latency, high frequency electronic trading. Very interesting position as well. Built a lot of algorithms which were autonomous in nature and traded up to $100 million worth of assets, which is about 750 crore rupees in a microsecond. So we would build and deploy algorithms or co-located servers at NYSE and NASDAQ stock exchange, and these algos had the ability to trade up to $100 million without any human intervention. So enjoyed that also quite a bit, but was always very interested in India as a market, was always very interested in doing something in the fintech space. So decided to launch MoneyHub. What we do at MoneyHub is something I'll be covering in a moment. But I wanted to kind of take this moment and share some of the experiences that I had as a student, what the decisions I took good, the bad decisions I took, and how you could potentially find some value through the experience I've had, right? So just to kind of talk a little bit about how do you go about selecting the country and the college you want to study in is an important element, right? And unfortunately, when I graduated, which was about 10 years ago, we didn't have institutions like ForeignAdmits to help you with that process, select the right colleges. So we had to do predominantly all of these matrices and understanding the market on our own. So one of the important things I figured out to look out for is a return on investment, right? So trying to figure out how much will it cost me as college fees, how much is it going to cost me to live in a certain city, and what kind of job will I get after that, right? Because a lot of you guys might have taken loans to go abroad, so it becomes important to kind of understand your finances well, understand how long, what is the total interest you would be paying, how long will it take for you to pay back the interest, and so on and so forth, right? Very important to do this exercise with your friends, family, parents, and understand how those numbers would look like. One other important element that nobody really talks about, which I found quite intriguing, was understanding whether the value system that you have and the post-college lifestyle that you would like to pursue is something that the country you're going to offers, right? So, for example, US has a very different culture towards life, different value system that they work with, which is very different to what Europe has to offer, right? So I was very clear that my value system was much more aligned to Europe, and hence I chose London as a market to be able to London as a city, and UK as a country where I would want to live after my graduation. So that's something that's important to look out for. And feel free to always reach out to alumni of the potential college that you want to go to understand the opportunities and the challenges that they went through while choosing the college, finding a job, what kind of jobs they end up getting, and so on and so forth. So this is going to make the decision also slightly easier on you. Coming back to finances a bit and relating it back to return on investment, it's important for you to also understand if there's any minimum working hours that are allotted to you as international students, which you could potentially utilize to find a part-time job and sustain yourself as a student for the course of 3 years if you're going for a bachelor's, or a few years if you're going for a master's. Some of the things to look out for when you select your college and country, right? Just a few other things I wanted to add is that as soon as you get the admissions done, it's important that you sort out your paperwork relatively quickly. And especially in these pandemic times, it can take substantially more time than it is ideal. So things like getting cash forms ready, getting your visa paperwork sorted, getting your potentially tickets in line is something that you need to do very quickly, and something you should be on top of, right? Start looking for accommodation much early on. There are several Facebook groups. People formulate who are potential applicants for a certain college, and you can find friends on those groups. And sometimes you can even connect with them even before departing India, so that you have somebody to rely on as soon as you land in a different country, right? So something to think about very deeply. Also, there will be a culture shock as soon as you land in a foreign country, but there will also be an element of surprise with respect to finances, right? For example, a bus ride in London might cost you £2, right? And that's 200 rupees. So if you start converting every pound that you spend, you will drive yourself crazy, right? So you'll have to kind of really refrain from doing so, and making sure that you understand how things work there. How much are you budgeting, right? So formulate a detailed plan around it, right? What is my rent going to be like? What is my transport expenses are going to be like? What is my stationery expenses, my food expenses? All of that stuff you'll have to list down and form a solid budget, and strictly abide by it, so that you don't overshoot into your budget as and when you land there, right? Some things that you have to keep in mind. Now, things that you need to do as soon as you reach, and this is just from my personal experiences and might vary from person to person, but very important to get your bank account sorted quite quickly, because you might not have a permanent address there, and a lot of organizations or a lot of banking institutions want you to have a permanent address before they issue your bank account and a card. Some campuses have on-campus bank branches that can help, but get it sorted within the first week of you arriving there. Make sure that you start your job hunt early, right? This is one of the pitfalls that I fell into, and was so concentrated in studies that I started my job hunt late, which is not advisable. So as soon as you land, you kind of need to start getting yourself acquainted with the ecosystem and start applying for part-time jobs and also full-time jobs, where if you're in a master's course which is only going to last a year, for example in London, right? Very important to get a student card done within the first week of arrival, and some of the colleges facilitate that as a part of the orientation program. And this is particularly important because you are able to get lots of discounts in various museums for transports and so on and so forth if you have that student card. So you save a bunch of money if you have that student card handy. So something that you should always get done ASAP. Getting your documentation ready is very important. We have a PAN card in India, we have national insurance number in the UK, you have a social security number in the US, and you need to get all of these elements in place ASAP, because you're not going to be, even if you find a part-time job, nobody will be able to give you a part-time job if you don't have these documentations in place. So something important for you to look out for. The part-time job opportunities, I've always felt that it's important to find it closer to university or home, which could be research assistant jobs, which could be libraries, which could be, you have these cafes in the on campus that you can look out for job opportunities, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time traveling, and hence you can use that time more effectively. Right? You can also get certain jobs as Indian student union. There's several Indian student unions that each of the colleges have. There's a Hindu society, there's a Punjabi society, there's various other societies that you'll find, and they'll have some job openings as well, and you can kind of volunteer for that. One good thing that has happened because of pandemic is that you can find a lot of job opportunities as a freelancing agent, be it a website designer or a content writer or part-time digital marketeer, that you can do from the comfort of your home wherever you're living, right? So those opportunities you should certainly kind of look out for and adhere to. Now, in terms of the job prospect, one thing that I have found very interesting and attractive is to join a charity organization of a cause that you can relate to. For example, I instantly became a part of Pratham, which is an Indian charity which provides finances to underprivileged kids. And what this did is that it helped me network quite effectively. There were prominent industry leaders in finance, which were the part of the committee there, which I eventually became a part of. And this helped me network quite a bit. I could talk to them, understand what finance meant, what kind of jobs could I get, and they helped me get a few interviews in place as well. So networking is extremely important. Be on top of that. Talk to as many people as possible, and reach out to people, right? Reach out to the Indian diaspora there, and they're all looking to give back because they have undergone the same experiences. So feel free to kind of ask them if you could go near their office and buy them a coffee, right? All of this is very acceptable in the Western economy, Western societies, and something that you should certainly use to make sure that you're on top of these things. Now, some of the common pitfalls to avoid is that like most of us, I was very focused on academics, and I think I ignored my social life a bit, right? So without going wild, I think it's important to kind of socialize a bit more, because that not only increases your chances of getting a job, but that also gives you some sense of mind, and you're able to absorb the culture of that country a bit more. A lot of people stick around, and a lot of Indians want to live with each other, and that's absolutely fine. I kind of took a slightly different approach, because one of the reasons I traveled abroad was because I wanted to kind of experience different cultures. So I decided to stay with a few guys from different countries, one French person and one Swedish girl, and this kind of helped me understand the culture a bit more. And whenever I went to interviews, I could do the small talk, and really helped me network a bit better. And those guys have become friends for life, right? So certainly something I would advise too. Don't hesitate to ask for help, right? People are there to help you, and you're not going to know. The maximum they're going to say is no, right? So it's nothing that you will lose by asking for help. So certainly do that better. I think a lot of social etiquettes are important, right? In London, it's very unpolite to ask for something without saying please, and if you don't say thank you. So those are some of the things that you need to become adaptable to and understand better and communicate better, right? Now, this is not necessarily related to finance, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to highlight some of the things that you should do, which might help you manage your finances better and let you lead a better life once you end up going abroad, right? So something that I hope you drew some value out of. Now, wanted to kind of shift gears and refocus on why we started Hop and how it can potentially help you, right? So one thing to kind of understand here is the fact that when I was living in London, I had a good job. I was doing well. I was up for a promotion. But one thing I wanted to do is that I wanted to start something on my own. I wanted to do it in India, and I wanted to work on a problem that I could relate to better, right? And I remember explicitly that I had taken a loan at 10% from a high street private bank in India, and I was paying 10-11% in interest, right? And I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to remit money outside, as Shashwat initially asked me. I didn't know what remittance was. I didn't know what Swift code was. I don't know what GST meant at that point in time, and so on and so forth. So I just asked the bank, who was providing the loan to me, to remit the money on my behalf abroad. And it so happens that only later, when I started getting to know a little bit of finance and I started working in a bank, did I realize that the bank was charging me close to 4-5% in just the remittance fee. So not only was I giving them 10-11% as a interest on the loan that I had taken, I was paying them 4-5% in transaction fees. So I was giving them in totality 15%, which is a obnoxiously very high amount of money in interest in transaction. So this notion stuck with me for a very long time, and I saw this come up and up again every time I had my friends and family visit me in India. So my parents, every time they came, they carried a bunch of 50-pound notes. And when I inquired them, I invariably found out that they had spent 4-5% above the markup, right? Above the rate that was prevalent in the market. And this became a constant phenomena. If my sisters came, my friends came, they underwent the same experience. Finally, in the summer of 2019, I'd gone back to Dehradun for a summer vacation, and I wanted to remit some money from India abroad. And I went to my local high street branch, where I had a branch for the last 12 years at that point in time. And these guys had me come in for 5 days in a row, asked me for all sorts of paperwork. And at the end of those 5 days, neither did the money get remitted, but I was rather left disgruntled with a terrible user experience. And this was particularly surprising to me, because I'd seen the rise of challenger banks or new age banks in London, which provided a seamless and an effortless banking experience. So I was really intrigued. I wanted to find out whether this was a one-off experience or whether there was a systemic problem within the cross-border banking space in India. So I spoke to about 200 odd students of various demographics and various geographical locations in India, and I very quickly understood that the banking system hadn't kept up to date with the evolving needs of an average 29-year-old Indian millennial. You guys want to travel the world, you want to live in different parts across the globe, you want to be global citizens, you want more stamps on your passport, but the banking system hadn't really kept up with the evolving needs. So we thought to ourselves, how can we provide a rather systemic solution to that? What are the problems that we are trying to solve, right? So we figured out that the way the foreign exchange remittance and payments was happening was largely through these decade-old banking system which had legacy technology, right? They asked you to come in person with extensive paperwork. There was a very poor user experience, and it lacked trust because the charges were hidden. You only found out what you were paying ex post facto when when they'd already charged you, like how I experienced it when I was remitting it through my bank. There was a lack of awareness also. People weren't very familiar with the terminologies like Swift code or ACH code or markups or TCS and all of this stuff, and these jargons left them so demotivated that they just gave the bank whatever money the bank asked for, and they say just remit the money on my behalf, right? And also the technology infrastructure was very poor at banks, right? That resulted into the Indian consumer and businesses having a global outlook. These students want to travel the world. They're going abroad for education, but their requirements are not being met because of just a pure play lack of innovativeness within the banking system. So we thought to ourselves, we need to provide a solution which is extremely effortless and painless. We thought to ourselves, UPI had really transformed the domestic payments methods, but the cross-border banking was still stuck in a rut and it was still archaic. And we then thought to ourselves, how can we provide a solution to this problem? And the answer was MoneyHub. That is how MoneyHub was born. We're a London-registered entity with a Indian subsidiary. Our offices are both in London and Bangalore. We are an RBI-regulated entity, entirely foolproof and secure. And what we do is that we provide three predominant services. The primary service, as you can see in the center of the screen, is called Hop Remit, which is an instant, paperless, and a cost-effective global remittance services for sending your money abroad for college fees or your maintenance money, which you might need over the course of the next 3 years when you're living there as your living expenses. The entire process is digital. You log on to our website, you digitally onboard yourself by submitting 2 documents, your Aadhaar and your PAN. You add your beneficiary details, which is the college bank account. You transfer the money using a net banking or debit card or doing NEFT transfer using online banking, and boom, within 3 to 5 minutes, the money is on its way to your respected beneficiary, right? How cool is that, right? You don't have to stand in lines anymore. You don't have to haggle for every 5-10 paisa with a bank branch. And when you are abroad, you don't have to. You can be sitting there in Virginia or in London or in New York, and you can do the remittance yourself. Once you are onboarded, the platform is open. You can just literally log on, select the rate, select the amount you want to transfer, and ask your father maybe to make an EFT payment, and everything is done on your behalf, right? So very cool. We've done really well. We've sent money for over 3,000-4,000 students now, and we're constantly kind of going at a very good pace. One other service that we've kind of launched is what we call Hop App and a Card, right? So unlike a traditional FX card, which which you can only use abroad, what we've done is that we've built an application, and we've also built a foreign currency card, which can be both used in India and abroad. So what typically happens is that when you're in India, you use one particular card. When you travel abroad, you use another card. And this FX card doesn't have an app for you to track your balances. You can't exchange the currency from INR to USD or USD to GBP. instantly, and the markups are really high. So on our app, we provide you one single account and you can do whatever you want with it, right? So you can log on to the application, click a few buttons, and the currency exchange will happen from INR to GBP or GBP to USD instantly, right? So really cool product, and would love for you guys to check it out and see what you have to say about that, right? This is how the platform looks. The send platform, as you can see in the middle screen, you just log onto the website, submit your documents, and the transaction is going to be on its way, right? From the card perspective, this is how the application looks. As you can see, you have a primary account, which is a INR account. You have pounds, euro, GBP, Australian dollars, whichever currency you require. Not only you get a physical card, but you also get a virtual card, and it has all the card control features. You can lock the card if you lose it. You can block the PIN. You can set a daily limit for yourself, and you can just choose any currency pair of your choosing. Click a few buttons and the currency exchange happens, right? This is also really advantageous for your parents because they can just do a local NEFT transfer, and you can exchange the currency as and when you please, no matter where you are across the globe, right? So really cool product, we feel. So I'm not going to take any much of your time, and I'll be happy to take any further questions that you might have. But glad you hopefully rather you enjoyed the session. Our website is www.moneyhub.co. So feel free to log in and check out our website. The remittance service is available on www.moneyhub.co/send. You can also ring us on 6364-001-001. So Sashwat, maybe you can put that number on the chat. It's 6364-001-001. And I'm going to stop here and take any questions that you guys might have.